Hi, I'm Streaky from Streaky.com. Today I'm reviewing the Manley NUMU compressor. I'm Streaky. If you're new here, I'm a mastering engineer from London. I've been mastering for the past 25 years on high-end music and low-end music and everything in between, loads of different genres. I'm here to discuss audio equipment and also sound and how to get better sound, how to listen in better environments, just basically anything to do with audio. I'm your man. So today I am reviewing the Pro Audio bit of equipment, which is the Manley NUMU, wanting to say vari-mu because that's the famous Manley compressor. Now the NUMU, I got this in, I was always a fan of the vari-mu. For certain types of music only though. I never used to use it on dance music or anything that I needed something really fast sounding. I always found it super creamy, really great for just sort of rolling through, really slow attack time, really fast release. So I was just getting the kind of juice of the box, and then you could feed the tubes on the input, and that was really cool on the vari-mu. So I used to use it on a lot of sort of rock or guitar-based music because it could really thicken the mix up. It's really nice sound, but I couldn't use it on everything. So I think that's the case for a lot of people. So they've brought out this new box, which is the NUMU. I must say, it looks really nice. It doesn't look as like hardcore as the original vari-mu, but I think they've stripped down a lot of the things that over the years, the vari-mu's been around since the early 90s. So, you know, components and everything are a bit cheaper now, and so the build is cheaper. They build everything in America, you know, homegrown stuff for them. It's pretty rock solid. Now, how does this compare between this and a vari-mu? Now, they had a thing in a vari-mu which is called a T-bar mod. That was to get it sounding like the old tubes. The tubes changed and it was keep the sort of creaminess of the original tubes from the Manley. So they had this mod that they did to it. Now this has that in it as a permanent feature, so that's one good thing. Running through it from sort of left to right, it's got obviously standard attack, release, thresholds and recovery, which is obviously the release. And then there's a compress and limit, which is essentially taking it from 10.1 ratio for the limit and 4.1 for the compress. I'm guessing those ratios, but I'm sure that's probably around the right place. They have bypass, which is obviously in and out, and link button. So the link button controls the attack and recovery time on both sides. Unfortunately, it doesn't do the inputs and outputs, which I find a bit of a pain, especially in a mastering scenario, because these pots on it, knobs, they aren't detented. They're variable pots, which I'm sure at some stage they'll do a mastering version, because they do a lot of their equipment, you know, their EQs and stuff. They've done mastering versions with selectable pots. So I hope that comes out. If that comes out, it'd be a great for it, because it's a bit of a pain trying to record. I'm sure if you're mixing, that's a bit of a pain. So that's one downer, and it would be nice if that was linked on both sides, so you could just have it as a nice stereo unit if you wanted to. They've got meters, these new sort of meters in the middle, which I really like actually. They're really cool. I mean, if you watch this channel a lot, you know that my kind of rules for compressing in a mastering situation are you don't want to be seeing the meters move. If you're seeing the meters move, you're doing too much. That's my kind of take on it. Yeah, they're just the blue colours, very nice. I like that. It looks cool in the studio. I like the way the meters are kind of going up and down rather than across. So yeah, it's a nice little innovation that. On the other side, they've got this couple of different things. You can change the metering. They've got a little feature called a hip feature. And what that's doing, it's kind of, without saying the word parallel compression, it's kind of doing that. It was bringing up the kind of low stuff, so it's just pulling that up a touch to sort of thicken out the subs and the lows. It's quite a nice warm sound to the lows. There is a high pass side chain. So that is now a feature on it. That used to have to be a mod as well on the vari-mu, because obviously you don't want a lot of the kicks and stuff to, you know, be taking over the sound and be running the box. You want to be going, I think that cuts at 150, I'm guessing, but I'd suggest that's probably about right. And then, so really what they're basing this for is a lot of music, modern music now, what you want something that's super quick, that's not really grabbing the low end, it's kind of grabbing the tops, and it's fast, so it's giving a bit of sort of creamy juice, but you don't want too much. So if you want that kind of really full valvey sound, you'd go for the vari-mu with, say, a high pass cut on it. So this isn't as creamy, it's milky, let's say. So it's a little bit, it's the semi-skimmed rather than the full fat. This is great for people that are doing dance music, that want to give a little bit of analog warmth back. It's super quick, the release is really fast. So you can get the transients to just fly through it, but it just keeps it nice and warm. And then, like I say, that little hip feature is really nice for sort of bringing up the sort of lower stuff when it's in a low section of the track. And then when it goes to a higher section, it kind of leaves it alone, so you don't hear it as much. So in a way, it's kind of like parallel compression, upward compression sort of thing. It's got some inputs here, so you can drive it. Look, just +3 or -3, so you can kind of drive it a bit. It took a little bit of setting up because I had to run a tone through it just to get the outputs and stuff. You know, I like it so it's flat, and then I can switch in +3 or -3 if I need to. That's kind of good. How I used to set up the vari-mu was very similar. It was just there, and you'd move the input. But I found with the input on the vari-mu, it was always really dodgy left to right, the pot on there. And so you'd kind of move in, you didn't know how much you were moving it by. It wasn't stepped. So you were kind of sort of feeling it, which is cool, but it's, you know, it's a bit awkward when you're trying to recall. And sometimes I just leave it in the same place and just in or out on my desk. Where that's quite handy. Once you've got it set up, then you can just whack in 3 dB and see if it gives it a bit of a shunt. But 3 is quite a lot in mastering terms, but I guess if you're mixing, then it's not. So that's, you know, no, that's probably what this is more aimed at than mastering, I would say, rather than a mastering version. So now I'm going to give it a streaky rating. What do I think I would give it out of 5 stars? Now, I think it is pretty high up there. It's a solid bit of kit. It sounds great, really usable. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. So it doesn't get the 5. And the reason for me is because it needs to have sort of a bit more with the link, and I'd want some kind of stepped action on the pots on there. So yeah, just missed out on that 5 stars, but yeah, 4.5 is pretty good going. So yeah, great bit of kit, definitely worth looking at. It's not too expensive. I think they retail at about £1,800. So about $2,200. Pretty good for a bit of compression and getting a kind of really nice bit of analog warmth back into your mixes or on the end of your mix bus. Or indeed for mastering if you need a little bit more sort of smack with a bit of warmth. So that's the Manley NUMU reviewed, 4.5 out of 5. If you like this stuff, please ring the bell. I'm here every day doing new videos on mixing, mastering, equipment, speakers, headphones, whatever. If you want me to master for you, there is a code below, so you get a nice discount for making it this far in the video. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye.